Welcome, Talal Hasan. PDIE Group is very delighted to have you here today. You are the Earthshot Prize winner of 2022 in the category Fix the Climate. So how does it feel to have won the Earthshot Prize?
Thanks, first of all, Christian, for having me here. Really delighted to be on this call with you. Yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful feeling to have been the lucky recipient of the Earthshot Prize. It's a great recognition for our team and our technology, and we're really grateful to PDIE for actually nominating us for this prize.
Yeah, we are very happy that we could do this kind of miracle one more time. In 2021, we already had one winner. And before you tell us a little bit about your company, it would be wonderful to know a little bit more about yourself and your motivation. What brought you actually here? What brought you to produce 4040.01, this company which wants to save the planet by mineralizing CO2?
Absolutely. So I grew up here in Oman with the pristine beaches, the seas. I spent a lot of my time scuba diving in the deserts, on the beaches. So I was very much within nature growing up. And so the environment was very close to my heart. I then became a corporate lawyer. I then eventually found myself into the investment space, and I became a venture capitalist. So I was investing money into technology startups. And one day I came across an article about a dead zone here in our region, which is the largest dead zone in the world. And this is an area of the sea that has little or no oxygen content. And as I dug deeper into the reason why this had happened, it quickly boiled down to CO2 emissions. And I said, okay, what can we do from a technological standpoint to address these CO2 emissions and remove them? And that led me to carbon capture. And then I realized, once I spent some time with carbon capture companies, was there very few solutions out there that could help you put away that CO2, that carbon dioxide, permanently and at scale. And this is when I started researching and came across the mineralization process.
That's very interesting. I would also love to visit Oman at a certain point in time. It sounds beautiful, and yeah, very nice to know about how you came to do all this. And yeah, 44.01. First of all, when I talk about the new Earthshot Prize winner, everybody asks me, what's the meaning of 44.01, first of all? Maybe you can explain us what this miraculous figure means, actually.
Sure. So it is the molecular mass of carbon dioxide. We saw carbon dioxide as an opportunity to remove it and eliminate it. So we decided to name ourselves after CO2, or the molecular mass of CO2, which is 44.01.
That makes sense. So most of the people listening right now might not know about 44.01. So maybe you can just explain a little bit more about the company and what do you do?
Sure. So we eliminate carbon dioxide, or CO2. This was driven by the clear impact we saw here in Oman of climate change. And we knew we needed to remove CO2 from the atmosphere to help counter the climate change and to protect our planet. But when you capture the CO2, we wanted to have a solution of what we could do with that CO2. And as we looked at all the options, it was difficult for us to find an option which was permanent and scalable. So we looked at many solutions, and what we were trying to focus on was permanence and scalability.
You said there are many solutions to actually store CO2, but what sort of solutions do you actually mean? Maybe you can just explain that a little bit more.
Sure. So there's options for storing CO2 in depleted oil wells, saline aquifers, and however, the CO2 remains in the subsurface. It's not removed per se. This means that in theory, that CO2 could eventually escape back into the atmosphere one day. So it has to be monitored, and it also has to be insured, which is very costly. And that cost can sometimes fall onto the government and onto taxpayers.
So you wanted to come up basically with a permanent solution, right?
Exactly. We wanted to eliminate the CO2 altogether rather than just storing it. And to do that, we looked at what nature was doing with this particular rock that we're using called peridotite. So peridotite is an ultramafic rock. It's typically found all over the world in the subsurface, about 40 kilometers underground. However, here in Oman, it's been pushed up to the surface, and it comes up in abundance here on the surface. And the beauty about peridotite is that it can mineralize CO2. So it turns the CO2 into rock, meaning that it stays in the rock and can never escape back into the atmosphere. And you can see this all over Oman. It looks like these white lines in the rock, and like almost like little fractures in the rock. And that's where the CO2 has been mineralized. However, this process, it's a natural process, but it takes decades. So our challenge was, how do we speed this natural process up?
That sounds really interesting, and you said it's taking decades actually to mineralize CO2 in peridotite, but how do you actually accelerate this process then?
So we take a captured CO2, so quite a pure CO2. We then dilute that CO2 into a fluid, and we inject that fluid deep into peridotite deposits, deep underground. So this is almost like a carbonated fluid or carbonated water, like a sparkling water, which is acidic. It then reacts with the peridotite in the subsurface and speeds up the reaction. And this turns the CO2 into other rocks, such as calcium carbonate and serpentine, which then means that CO2 is permanently removed from our planet. Using this process, we can mineralize the CO2 in less than 12 months.
And if this CO2 is mineralized, it's not harmful for the environment. Maybe you can just say something about this.
Sure, that's absolutely correct. So we are creating a natural rock, calcium carbonate and serpentine, which is typically found in these deposits anyways. So there's no negative effect. They're inert rocks, so there's no negative effect to the environment or into the subsurface.
And you said that using your process, instead of taking decades, it would only take 12 months to process this into minerals. And how big of an impact could this have then? Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about the impact, because I think your solution is highly scalable.
Absolutely. So we know that our solution works and that it eliminates the CO2. The challenge that we have now is to prove that we can do this at a large scale and to scale it even further. So potentially the possibilities for peridotite mineralization are huge. So it has a high capacity to mineralize CO2. So to give you an example, in 1 ton of peridotite, we could mineralize more than half a ton of CO2 within 1 ton of rock of peridotite. So the deposits here we have in Oman, for example, the deposits here alone, in theory, could mineralize all the emissions, all the CO2 emissions humankind has ever produced since the Industrial Revolution. And that's just the rock we have here in Oman. However, there is peridotite all over the world. We have peridotite in the Americas, we have it in Europe, elsewhere in Asia, as well as Australia. So if we can scale this and we can take it around the world, we could potentially provide a vital weapon in the fight against climate change.
That sounds incredible. And I would have asked you now, what would you stay in Oman, or would you actually, because you said that alone the peridotite in Oman is sufficient to do the job for all the CO2 which has been ever emitted since the industrial age. So would you take it to other countries? And you also said that in Oman you have it on the surface, but usually you have it 40 kilometers underneath the Earth's crust. So and you mentioned Australia and some other examples. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about your plans, how to, if you stay in Oman, or how long you will stay in Oman, and what you intend to do.
Sure. So it's really important that we scale this solution, that we share our technology with the rest of the world. So it is absolutely our intention to have sequestration or take our process to other countries and other territories. We don't want to import other countries' emissions to Oman. That's definitely not what we want to do. Instead, we want to share our technology and export technology in the process to other countries. So I have some exciting news that we will be breaking into our second territory, our second country later this year. So please keep an eye out for that announcement, which should be coming out in the next few weeks, hopefully. But it is absolutely our intention to scale this technology internationally.
We are very much looking forward to this, and hopefully with our international network of PDIE Group, we will be able to support in one way or another. So now we have heard about your solution, and tell us a little bit about the Earthshot Prize. How did you get to know about the Earthshot Prize, and how was the process actually to be selected? And maybe tell us a little bit about this.
Absolutely, and again, a massive thank you to PDIE for your help throughout the process. And as you know, PDIE were the ones who nominated us. So you guys clearly know the process very well and held our hands throughout the process. It was a long and rigorous process. There were several assessment points, and the questions that were asked were tough, not only on the technical side but also on the commercial side, because they did want to know that this was something that was genuinely going to help the planet. So they were really looking for kind of options that were scalable and that can make a difference this decade. So yeah, that was a very interesting process to go through. And again, massive thank you for PDIE for holding our hand throughout that process.
Yeah, we are very happy, and it might not be redundant to mention that another friend of ourselves, Phil Michael Weiner, has actually introduced you to us, and then we got to discuss about this. So we should also say thank you to him. It's always kind of a circle and a loop which needs to be closed. So what about the announcement itself? I mean, I was sitting in Boston at the Earthshot Prize ceremonies, which was spectacular, and I was actually not even hoping that we could make it possible again. But then we saw you celebrating. Did you really have no idea until the end?
No idea at all. So all the finalists were filmed in exactly the same way. We were all there waiting in different places around the world to find out if we'd won. We were here in Oman in a really nice setting in the mountains. It was really nerve-wracking. And the celebrations that you saw on the screen were like almost a huge release of emotion from all of us. It was a very emotionally driven celebration for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So how were the reactions? I mean, I talked to you quite close to the Earthshot Prize, and you were kind of overwhelmed. But let me know a little bit more about these reactions from all over the world.
Sure. So we had many thank yous from all over the world, and congratulations from all over the world. And yeah, the reactions have been absolutely wonderful. There's been so much support for us here in Oman and elsewhere around the rest of the world, and so much excitement about what our solution and the other finalists' ideas can do for the fight against climate change.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. What's in store? What's 2023 bringing, and what are your plans for 44.01, and how will you actually make use of this Earthshot Prize award?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Christian. So our challenge now is to scale, and we're going to use the prize money and the Earthshot network and the profile from the award as well to refine our technology and to improve it, as well as to then scale it. So with the improvement of our technology, making it more efficient also means that we make it more cost effective and hence more scalable. So the prize money is going to be directly related to us improving the tech on R&D, on innovation, on just refining it so that we have something that we can scale quickly. This is an urgent challenge, and we need to move quickly because of the urgency, and this prize money will allow us to do just that.
Great. Yeah, so now at this point we would be talking a little bit about the Earthshot and what PDIE Group would be doing from now. The Earthshot Prize we haven't actually introduced in the beginning. It consists of 5 different categories. It's Fix the Climate, which you have won, and which also last year PDIE Group has nominated the winner. So we seem to be very strong in the Fix the Climate category, but we are not limited to this. We are looking for more solutions, and we are in the middle now of doing the nominations for the next round actually. So so we would 2023 for PDIE Group has certain things in store. We are looking forward to complete the nomination period for the new nominees, and if everything goes well, maybe we have another Earthshot Prize winner 2023 again. Let's see.
Great. And maybe if I could ask you a couple of questions, Christian, if that's okay.
Sure.
So PDIE, as you've mentioned, have been very successful in finding the right profile of companies and nominating the right profile of companies to this prestigious prize. I'd love to know what do you look for, and what advice do you have for applicants for this year?
Yeah, we look for people who have really scalable solutions, and these scalable solutions are fitting to one of the 5 categories. I didn't mention the 5 categories. It's fix the climate, it's clean our air, revives the oceans, protect and restore nature, and build a waste-free world. So it's like a circular economy. And we have already nominated 75 solutions and have screened 250 solutions. So our portfolio is growing actually. And what we look for is that these solutions which we nominate have something which is easy to understand, which really fits to the categories, which also checks the boxes. There are a few boxes which Earthshot Prize is especially looking for. How does a team look like? Is it a diverse team? Is it an internationally distributed team? And also, is the solution based in evidence? So is it possible to prove this by scientific facts? This is very important, and this is also what we are looking for and what we apply our technical advisory board to. We wouldn't nominate anything which just looks good on the surface.
Amazing, thanks for sharing that. And in terms of the support PDIE offers to other Earthshot nominees, and anything else or any other thoughts from PDIE?
Yeah, so we want to help in many regards. We have an international network. We have 22 ambassadors in 22 different countries, and we would give access to these different markets, because the ambassadors which we have positioned at the different markets have very good access in different aspects, like capital is one of the aspects, of course, which everybody has to look for, and then if we want to scale the solutions to international markets, that we can find access which normally wouldn't be possible, because we also have a good network with influencers who have access to governments, and so the capital, government, strategic alliances with corporations. This is what we are looking to support, and of course our large network of innovators. We have more than 1,000 individual innovators.
That's amazing. You guys definitely have a global reach if you found us all the way in Oman. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we hope to stay in touch with you. And thanks for this wonderful conversation. Now everybody knows more about 44.01, a little bit more about Oman, and of course more about Talal Hasan, who won the Earthshot Prize with his company 44.01. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Christian, and thank you for everything. Take care.